Another question on social media, which was quite intriguing, was do I have the right to tell my partner that I'm either long-term relationship with or married to that I really am turned off by their weight? They've allowed themselves to gain a lot of weight, and I just feel like it's a turnoff. And do I have the right to tell them? Well, you have a right to say anything, but you have to deal with the consequences and the way you say it, and whether they're mature enough to handle feedback. If you are turned off by their weight, and you're in a marriage, I would think that it would be wise to make a statement that says, there are many, many things that I really admire about you and I love about you. And there's some things that I really have challenge with. And I'm sure you have the same with me, things that have challenged me. And I would appreciate if you let me know some of those things that challenge. Some I may not be able to do anything about, some things I will. But I just want to let you know, I don't want to repress this and then end up having it undermine our marriage and relationship. So I'm just letting you know that when I see you gain weight, I see you eating more than is needed, and I see the health impact on you, and you're become less appealing to me. I feel like as somebody who loves you that it's wise to speak up and to take the risk if you're being upset with me. But I don't want to be untactful about it, but at the same time, I want to speak up about it. And I'd like to, is it something you perceive as an issue? Do you enjoy having the extra weight? Most people, my experience, say no. Many people put weight on to protect themselves from having affairs, or protect themselves from being rejected, or maybe they just enjoy food and they feel like that's the only way they can feel connected to their family. Or maybe they're doing it to protect themselves from further sex with you. Maybe they're upset with you too. They're letting you know that you're not attractive to them. Be willing to handle the feedback. Be mature enough to speak up. When you're infatuated with somebody, you're afraid to say negative things for fear of loss. When you're resentful, you're afraid to say positive things for fear of gain. When you love somebody, you're able to say both positives and negatives and give them feedback, and give them integral feedback, and do it tactfully and maturely. And if I had a man that I was working with recently that said that, he wasn't turned on by his wife. And I thought, well, is that because of some of the things she said, or is that her physical appearance? And he said, well, partly physical appearance and definitely things that have been said, and just shut down their sex life. I said, but right now you're thinking, do I need to have sex outside the marriage? And I said, well, I think out of fairness to her, that it'd be wise to have a communication that I noticed. I told him, I said, you noticed other women. And he said, yeah, and I'm turned on by some of them. I said, well, that's not, you're going to see beautiful women all your life. I think it's wise to let her know. I don't want to have fantasies and thoughts about other people. I want to have it with you. I'd rather us work through what's going down with our appearance and the weight and everything else, and work it through and come up with something for the sake of your health and also for the salvaging of our marriage. Because right now I'm a bit turned off by the weight. It's not my ideal search image. I'm trying to sit down and write down the benefits of that to help me not be so judgmental, but at the same time, I feel like it's holding you back in the sense of your libido. It's affecting your health long term, and it's frankly not appealing. There's some capacity I can be adaptable in, but other capacity it's just turned off. And I don't want to have to go out and have flings with somebody else. I love you. I want to have sexual intimacy with you, and I don't want to be turned off by your weight. So how do we work through that? Let's talk it through, and let's come up with some solution. Either let me come up with an alternative, and that's how I'm going to have my relationship. It's going to be an open relationship, or we're going to work it through and work together towards an objective, or I'm going to find so many benefits to you that this is so insignificant that I'm not going to concern about your weight, or I'm going to find out if you've got a biological reason for this weight or a psychological reason for it. But let's talk it through and open up about it and communicate about it. If you think that they can't handle it, well, it's time for them to grow up. Because it's not really to their advantage. I mean, biologically, if there's obesity or overweight, that can be a detriment physiologically, psychologically, and physiologically, and also relationship-wise. So I think it's wise to speak up about it. If it's just a minor thing and it's a few pounds and it fluctuates, I'd leave it be. But if it's a serious thing that they've accumulated and they're having difficulties with it, I'd have a conversation with about it and find out. But don't make them wrong about it. Just say, how do we work through this? Because it's not appealing to me. Just be honest about it. Just like certain behaviors are not appealing. I have no problem speaking up about it. Just these are the things I don't mind making a list. These are the things I really admire, and these are the things I dislike about you. I'm not expecting all positives. I'm expecting a balance of positives and negatives. And if this is the negative I have to deal with for all the positives I get, well, then I'll embrace that. But if it's something you also would like to do something about and something that's also a turnoff, I just think it's fair for me to open up and share about it. That's all. I'm not here to make you wrong about it. It's not a moral issue. It's about giving you feedback that it is affecting our dynamic and our libido and our relationship. And speak up. I think she deserves that. He deserves that. We all deserve to know true feedback. I think if we love somebody, we will offer them true feedback and make sure it's not just a projection of our own wounds in the past. And clear and look honestly at yourself and look honestly at them and be open enough to share it. It'll bring more integrity to the relationship instead of repressions and then overexpressions or affairs.